C2 Wrestling Podcast is back. CTD and Snowden, the boys. How was your weekend? How was your holiday weekend?
Absolutely fucking miserable. It was awful. Worked all weekend. It sucked. I would have so much outside of War Games, of course, where we were live here at C2 Wrestling for the first time. Going to be more of that coming your guys' way. Outside of War Games, it was awful. I'd much rather be doing this, talking wrestling, talking shop on C2 Wrestling. But we're here. We're alive. We're getting through it. Tired as could be. Red Bull will help me stay awake. What's up with you? How was your weekend?
I should mention you are tired as can be. It is noon.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
For those of you
Yeah.
that are wondering, oh, Snowden's tired. Like, what time could it be?
Man, they must be doing an 8 a.m.
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
No,
No.
I woke up 15 minutes ago. I don't
I
sleep
will.
though.
Yeah.
All right. I'm
Yeah.
not, it's not like I go to bed at, 10 p.m. and just sleep all day.
Snowden
Uh,
and I, we joke all the time with each other that we have the same brain and
yeah.
how we are so ungodly similar in a
hmm
lot of things.
Yeah.
But there is one thing that Snowden and I are vastly different. And last night was the perfect example. I got back from work. I had to work late. I got back from work at 11. I was in bed and asleep before 11:45. I got home, got changed, washed my face, brushed my teeth, got right in bed, fell right asleep. Snowden probably didn't fall asleep till like 4 a.m., I would guess.
4:30. Yeah, it was 4:30 in
Okay,
the morning.
great,
Yeah,
great
yeah, you were
guess.
close. Yeah.
Me, alarm set, 7:20, woke up, wiped the crust out of my eyes, freezing here, got to the gym, got breakfast, got the water in me, you name it. Snowden, at that point, had only been asleep for like 2 hours.
Yeah, listen, it's not by choice.
Of
I just can't
course.
go to bed. I'm on that Triple H sleep schedule. 4 hours a night is good for me. I'm out here. It's normal for me at this point. I'm always tired. There's no way to escape it. But there ain't nothing stopping me from getting on here, podcasting, letting the fans know what's up with C2 Wrestling.
To take a trip down memory lane, and this does tie into wrestling, I remember two different moments
Yeah.
of Snowden having a sleepover
Mm-hmm.
with me.
Yep.
And one of them, I believe we were going to meet Daniel Bryan.
That was correct. Daniel Bryan. Yep.
The other one was when we were about to fly to Orlando for
Yep.
WrestleMania 33. Both of those times,
Mm-hmm.
I woke up the next morning. You know, normally if I'm with the boys or whatever, like I'm gonna stay up late. I trust me, I have no issue staying up late.
Yeah.
I just
Yep.
put myself on a schedule to try to not do that.
Yeah, because we have something to do the next morning.
Of course.
Yeah.
Both of those times, I would say combined max 1 hour is what you slept.
And that 1 hour came from one of those times.
Yeah, yeah. I
When
remember
we when
one
we
of
went
them
to
you were
see,
like I didn't sleep at all. I've played 90 games of 8-ball pool or something.
yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. When I stayed at your place and we went to meet Daniel Bryan, and you laid down all cozy in your bed, went right to sleep like an angel, and I was just all night like measuring 8-ball pool, all
Dude,
night. Couldn't help myself. Stayed up all night. Met Daniel Bryan on zero sleep. We're here. We're alive. Listen, that was like 10 years ago, though, at this point. That was a long time ago. I'm maybe a little bit older now. My body, I still don't sleep, but I am not built like that anymore. I do an all nighter like that, and I'm delirious. I start spinning. I can't think straight. So I do my best to get sleep. But man, good times. Let's go down memory lane one more time, real quick.
let's keep going.
Another wrestling related sleepover. WrestleMania 33. We had a hell of a trip to get to WrestleMania 33. Both of us, in order to get there, are on no sleep, traveling from New Jersey down there to Orlando for WrestleMania 33. We had a place to stay in which we each had an air mattress to sleep on. And now we have maybe 4 to 5 hours of sleep we're about to get before we're taking a couple hour drive to the airport, this, that, all this crazy stuff going on. And I remember getting some of the best sleep I've ever gotten because WrestleMania was exhausting. And I remember I'm now all cuddly. I'm asleep. I'm laying in my air mattress. And I turn over and I see you just laying on a deflated air mattress, trying your best to sleep, just tossing and turning, clearly aggravated, rightfully so.
I would have been better off sleeping on concrete.
On straight floor. Yeah, you would have been better off sleeping on the straight floor. Yeah.
That was some of the worst sleep I got. And to continue on that story, so we were staying in Georgia.
Correct.
We spent Sunday night in Orlando for
Yes.
WrestleMania. We drove to Georgia
6 hours.
Monday, 6-hour drive. Now Monday Night Raw, it's the Raw after Mania. It's actually the Mania. The Revival get their main roster call up. Kurt Angle's announced to be wrestling again, or maybe he was announced as the GM. Was it? It was the GM, right? He was.
I think
the GM
so.
first
Actually,
and
now
then
they say
wrestled,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
So our plan was go back, grab food, grab some Popeyes, take a nap, watch Raw, go to sleep because we're on no sleep after me.
No sleep.
We were with Kevin and Ryan, no sleep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a diehard Mets fan, and that happened to be opening day.
Yeah.
The Mets were playing at 4:00. So Snowden, it was a role reversal. Snowden actually was going to get some sleep, get his slumber. I said, not a chance. I got to watch the Mets. It's opening day. I don't miss games. I stayed up, watched the game. We watched Raw, exhausted as all hell. And then we overslept and almost missed our flight.
Yeah, we almost missed our flight. And not only because we overslept, but because I had some rumbling going on in my stomach that morning. Yeah, we were
that too. We had from oversleeping, you not feeling good,
diet was awful that weekend,
and a bridge collapsing that caused all kinds of traffic.
Okay, to that point in my life, we are at that point, WrestleMania 33. We're like 18 years old, right? 19 years old, whatever we are. That is my first time in Georgia at that point. I think I've crossed through before, but sure, I wasn't really there. The one time in my entire life, to that point, I go to Georgia, and the main bridge in Atlanta collapses, and we were just like stuck on the highway for hours, almost missed our flight. What are the odds of that?
Yeah, it's almost like a weird bridge. It's not like we're from Jersey. We think a bridge, going over a body of water. It's like a different type of bridge, but
it's like a highway bridge almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The odds that we were there when that collapsed. I mean, now I live here and I am nowhere near wherever that bridge is, but the odds of that happening just feel so slim to none. But that was just an outrageous time. But similar to that time, where we were still making channels, fighting through, editing. I was staying up and editing and uploading as quick as I could when we were on that. We're doing the same here on C2 Wrestling. Eventually, we will post a video on the FAP Reactions channel. Maybe it'll be a C2 Wrestling podcast that we post on there with Kevin and Ryan. Let everybody know that this is going on. We want to let things go, but we have a special podcast today.
We do.
It is special because it is another rendition of what is Snowden battling through this podcast.
Listen, I don't know what is up with me, but I work all day yesterday, good as can be. I got customers I'm dealing with. I'm shaking hands. I'm high-fiving babies, I guess. I don't know what's going on. Good all day. I get home. I'm relaxing. It's downtime a little bit. Let me play some Madden. Why not? Sitting there playing some Madden. Start scratching my eye. I got something in my eye. My God, I can't get it out. I go look. My eye is swollen, red, pussy. Looks like I got pink eye. I don't know what's going on. Snap of a thumb, too. Like literally scratch my eye. My eye was like I got punched in the face. Put some eye drops in. Wake up this morning. A little swollen, it looks like, but I kind of feel good as new. I'm a medical anomaly. I don't know what's going on with me anymore. But you've been through a lot of, the ankle injury pod. I think I had a strep throat one pod or something. I battled through it, The list goes on.
We need at some point to go back, try to listen to all of the pods because it's definitely you've had multiple injuries,
Oh yeah, we got to tally them up.
incidents, whatever,
Yeah.
and we need to take the operation board game and put your face on it and just
Yeah.
put the little diagram,
That's good. Yeah.
put it all
Yeah.
together,
Yeah. Yeah.
the Snowden
Yeah. Yeah.
injury
For my
chart.
tendon back in my foot,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Have you all tight, 0 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Don't wake Snowden.
Yeah.
Yep. The C2 Wrestling version of Operation. That's our
That's
first
good.
ever piece of merch.
Well, it would be technically our second ever board game, if you want to be honest.
Oh God.
That's for another
That's for
podcast.
another podcast, another day, and another rant. But as I mentioned, um I was at work last night
Hmm.
and you handled the New Day reaction, which was awesome. I did
Yep.
watch your New Day reaction. I had the same reaction as yours for when the big moment of
Yeah.
realizing they are turning on Big E. But Raw
Goosebumps.
top to bottom, I've seen like all the posts, all the YouTube videos.
Hmm.
I've seen it in like segment form. I haven't watched the show from top to bottom, but I
Yeah.
obviously know everything that happened. I've pretty much seen all the main things that have happened. There is nothing worse, and
Hmm.
I mean nothing worse as a wrestling fan than when you watch the weekly shows every single week. And to be fair, WWE weekly shows have been really good the last year,
Hmm.
but some of them are pretty much run of the mill,
Yep.
this is missable. Oh, this is pre-tape, you name it.
Yep.
There is nothing worse than having work after watching all the weekly shows and you have work during what is potentially the best show of the year.
Yes, yeah, I did miss majority of the show as well. Did not get enough in it to really do a full Raw review, so I figured that is what we would discuss a bit here today. Was how fantastic top to bottom Monday Night Raw was. That was really arguably Raw of the year. Now, I had something pulled up on my phone that I want to go over regarding this Raw. Right, a December Raw, which we are close to the holidays, we're close to the Rumble, close to Mania. So you would expect, yeah, maybe a better Raw than say like, I don't know, a Raw in June where it's middle of the year, not a lot going on. But this Raw was really like a Raw that would sit just before Mania. It was a stacked show, incredible segments top to bottom. What I have in front of me is a December Raw from about 2 years ago under Vince McMahon. And I want to just go over this card real briefly, real quick, okay? This is a random Raw from December a couple of years ago. Otis with Chad Gable defeated Riddle with Orton in a 7-minute match. Sure. Bianca Belair defeated Dewdrop. All right. That's a problem. Bobby Lashley defeated Kevin Owens via submission in 4 minutes. The
How long was the
dirty
Bianca Dewdrop match?
10 minutes. 10 minutes. They got some
Okay.
time, actually. Okay. Bobby Lashley with MVP defeated Owens by submission in 4 minutes. The Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode defeated Balor and Priest in 7 minutes. Queen Zelina with Carmella defeated Rhea Ripley with Nikki Ash in 50 seconds. Bobby Lashley again with MVP defeated Seth Rollins in a no DQ match in 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Bobby Lashley with MVP again defeated Big E in a no DQ match in 17 minutes. What was going on Raw 2 years ago? That is zero recollection of anything. Anything.
I don't
And
remember that at all.
At all. At all. And I was watching too. The contrast between shows, like how memorable this Raw was. And like, yeah, this Raw had a 10-year New Day segment, whatnot. Maybe next week's Raw is not as memorable as this one. But the contrast between that card to this card, night and day, man. It's night and day.
And that Raw had an extra hour compared to this Raw.
And that Raw had an extra hour. And every match was shorter than any match we got last night.
Yeah. And
crazy.
You were mentioning this Raw felt like it was a Mania build-up Raw. It could honestly even be argued like it kind of felt like it was a Rumble build Raw.
Yes.
But we are still so like it is close, but it's not that close where you get like the amazing shows that
Yeah.
really get you amped. Like there wasn't much like, oh, this is a spot in the Rumble. Like Punk teased the Rumble, it's
Yeah.
a little bit, but there's still Saturday night's main event. There was some, Royal Rumble advertising, but the biggest Raw is what, 4 weeks away, roughly,
Yep.
of the debut on Netflix, which is like the Raw that should
Yep.
be the biggest Raw of the year besides the post Mania Raw. We're already getting a fantastic Raw. Next week's already looking like it's going to be a fantastic Raw. At that point, you're at the what, the ninth? There's only three more Raws until the Netflix debut, which is going to be crazy, and those first few episodes. And that goes right into the Rumble build Raws. And then you're at the Rumble. And then it's right
Yep.
into the Mania build Raws. Like, we are ready. We're getting it a month early. We're getting the hot start a month early.
Absolutely. I was going to say typically those TV shows don't start to really spice up until they hang that Mania sign from the rafters. And we're getting that Mania sign metaphorically a month early this time around. The Raw on January 6th, the Netflix debut, that's only 3 weeks out from the Royal Rumble. That's only 3 weeks prior to them hanging that sign, and we're really in the Mania build. We're only 3, 4, 5 weeks out from that, anyways. We're in the Mania build. This is an extended road to WrestleMania this year. I really feel that the long term storytelling goes deep. It really seems like, the start of Raw, a Punk Rollins could easily fit a Royal Rumble show. They got until February to get that book, but it really seems like they're stretching it till Mania. As it should, in my opinion, it should stretch till Mania. It's long term storytelling that I think is the big part in why this road to WrestleMania feels like a longer road.
You mentioned pointing at the sign. That is how the show opened, with CM Punk pointing to where the sign will be, making his intentions clear, what he has come back, he has set out to do. I agree. We are getting Punk Rollins at Mania. I'm starting to get the feel that we get Punk Gunther at, I don't know if it would be the Rumble or if it would be like the Saturday night's main event before the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but history tells me Punk is going to get his shot at Gunther before Mania, or he's going to get a shot at going after Gunther, whether this is in the Rumble, and Rollins costs him, and that's how the full build for Punk Rollins begins. We know the build is about to come. It's been teased for over a year at this point.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it like actually starts, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Punk Rollins, WrestleMania, we were supposed to get. They're going to give it to us still. It fits the bill. It's crazy to think about how spectacular WrestleMania 40 was. We were there and we didn't even get CM Punk main eventing night one. That was the original plan in motion. I don't know if it's going to main event this year, but we're still getting that. Now, I do also foresee a potential Punk Gunther match prior to WrestleMania. I don't particularly want that, though. And my reasoning why is because regarding Rollins, Punk, and then Gunther, I want Gunther to win these matches without people interfering. And that is just another setup for Rollins to come out, screw Punk. Gunther wins, retains, but it's not the clean win that I want to see Gunther get, this beast of a wrestler. I can foresee it happening. I wouldn't hate it, but it's not my ideal idea. I would rather that maybe postpone Gunther Punk till post-Mania, but that also tightens the lineup in what I would want. This is fantasy booking, a little bit of a tangent here. John Cena is about to come back. He seemingly gets Gunther at Mania. I have to imagine that's at least been pitched. Who knows if it actually happens? I don't know if they're going to put that title on Cena. If they do put that title on Cena, how do you not run back Punk Cena Money in the Bank for the championship? Whether the title's on Punk or the title's on Cena, how do you not run that back at Money in the Bank this upcoming year? How do you get the title off Gunther and Cena and Punk feuding within this 6-month span or so?
on top of it too, this is a Gunther Stan account, of course, and
Mhm.
Gunther
Love you,
is
Gunther.
he is the world heavyweight champion, no matter what shenanigans go on. They announced Gunther Balor. It feels like we'll probably get a triple threat between the three of them at some point, maybe. But to go to your point, Gunther Balor feels set up to a T that Priest is going to interfere and attack Balor. Now, I think it's more likely Priest interferes and it ends in a DQ,
Yeah.
and that sets up the triple threat. Maybe at the first Raw
Hmm.
on Netflix, I could absolutely see that being because you get a title match on there. You kind of finish Gunther with them in that feud. You're not stretching it all the way to the Rumble or Saturday if there is another Saturday night's main event. I could see that. The biggest thing for me in going off of your fantasy booking is continuing to add to the prestige of this new title because it is still
Absolutely.
technically a new title. You've
Absolutely.
had three people hold it, all three of them. Two have been long reigns.
Hmm.
One has been a huge moment in. Oh, four people have held it. Sorry. Yeah, four people have held it.
Technically.
Yes, four people have held it. Three of them have been long reigns. One of them have been a massive storyline moment of the title change.
Yep.
To continue to add to that, if it did become Cena's 17th, or if it was revolving Punk versus Cena for the world title, I want Gunther to win the title back as soon as possible,
Yes.
but that truly elevates that title. And
Hmm.
I love Priest. I love Rollins.
Yep.
I love Drew. Gunther as the champion has made it feel like it is at the level of
Yeah.
Cody. And
Yes.
I think if Cena and Punk are going for it as well, instead of Cody's title, it even more enhances it.
1000%. That was pretty much exactly what I was going to say. I couldn't agree more about the prestige of that world title. And with the four people that have held it, and a lot of credit to Rollins for that first run, they have done a wonderful job at adding prestige to that title already. Rollins did a fantastic job. Priest, a guy that, on paper, maybe you wouldn't really expect to get the run, but he got it. He made his way through. He's a fantastic competitor, a great run, in my opinion. With Gunther, though, it's next level. That world championship is on a world champion with Gunther. That's really the way I look at it. If you can float that belt to a Punk, to a Cena, and run that match back, specifically at Money in the Bank, the title really, in my opinion, already is on the level with Cody's title. They are equal titles, in my opinion. That's really how I view them. Putting it on Punk, putting it on Cena, running that back really makes that belt the championship in WWE.
Obviously, the WWE title and the US title and the Intercontinental title have been around for decades. So
Hmm.
there's going to be champions who you look back on, you're like, man, that guy had a title reign, or like that guy
Yeah,
won the
yeah, yeah.
title, or like what a mistake that was, blah, blah, blah. This world
Pride
title is now,
matches.
yeah, exactly. This world title is now, what, 2 years in roughly?
Yeah, yeah.
About 2 years in. And we're looking just 6 months in advance. So we'll call it 3 years
Yeah.
of that title. And you're looking at potentially zero misses of a champion. Like
Zero
zero
misses.
misses, all great, all deserving, all played into the story.
Yeah.
Speaking more so with Drew winning the title and then the cash in happening. Like that feels hard to do. I know having long title reigns makes it a little
Yeah.
easier, but the long title reigns still have to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, like you said, zero misses. We got 6 months until this fantasy booking of Money in the Bank. But even all the guys in between, the guys that they're building up, the Braun Breakers, the Chad Gables, the guys that we want to see get these runs, I don't think there will be a miss with that title for years, if ever, in all honesty. And this is, again, maybe a little bit of fantasy booking, but with the Royal Rumble coming up, I had mentioned this on our Survivor Series live show. Bold prediction. I think Jey Uso might win the Royal Rumble. I very well think Jey Uso has a high potential to win the Royal Rumble. That is a guy that you put that world title on, and it adds to the prestige of the title. He is over the moon, over the moon. And all these guys are right now. Gunther, Rollins, Drew, Priest, all the guys under them that haven't held the belt. There's nobody not over to put the title on. There's no one even in question that you could put title on that isn't over the moon. On both shows, to be fair, too. Cody could lose that belt to Owens, to Orton, to whoever wins the Rumble. Both these titles, mid-card titles as well, everything going on is just top to bottom fantastic right now. Everything going on has some prestige to it right now.
Yeah, and like looking at the Rumble, I know you are anti Cena winning it, and I do agree that Cena winning would be like it's the most glaringly obvious option. And if you guarantee that Cena isn't winning, this feels like the most wide open Rumble in a long time and like could be the most just off the top of my head spitballing. You could have in the Rumble Cena, Rollins, Punk, uh, Priest, Balor, LA Knight, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso. Like that's just off the top of my head. That's a third of the Rumble. I didn't name a single like non-main eventer.
Yeah, I don't think you named the champion in there if they're going to throw a Braun
No,
Breaker in there,
exactly.
you
Yeah,
know, and a big
Bronson Reed.
Bronson if he's back.
Yeah,
Hopefully his
he's
injury is not
yeah.
too bad. Yeah, because that's a guy that I wanted to showcase in the Rumble this
Jacob
year. Yeah.
Fatu. Like you just start like thinking about all
Yep.
these potential names.
Yep.
And then you get into like that tier below, which these guys are fantastic. The Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, Ludwig
Yep.
Kaiser, like all these guys who
Yeah.
make the great moments in the match, but could potentially be the one to win it to take that next step. Like if Cena wins, that just feels like we have the chance for the best Royal Rumble of all time, and it's squandered.
I agree. That is my exact point in Cena winning. Uh, Now, this Royal Rumble, I think we are going to get a similar Rumble to where we got with Drew winning. So, the one that Drew won, Brock Lesnar, number one, ran through the first half of that Rumble on his own. Now, I don't think it's going to be one person this year, but I think we're going to get the entirety of the new bloodline in the Rumble match. Solo, Fatu, Tongaloa, Tamatanga, maybe Bronson Reed if he's still paired up with them. And I think we're going to see those 4 or 5 guys kind of run house in this Royal Rumble match. Everybody kind of protecting Solo to maybe get the win for Solo. Maybe there's even some tension there. Maybe Bronson wants the win, though, or something. You know, he's not really in the bloodline. Maybe we then get the Jay comes out, the Sammy comes out, and we get another kind of bloodline stare down in the ring. But the one big name in my mind that we haven't mentioned that is a similar level to Cena, I think the other alternative is The Rock winning. And same boat as Cena, don't want it. Don't want it. But both of those guys seem very likely to be going for titles, so it's almost as if one of them has to win.
The reason I'm smiling is because having hindsight,
Mm-hmm.
I remember stressing this to you, and I think you might have had the same sentiment. I remember stressing to you about last Rumble,
Yeah.
just being like, just have The Rock win if he's gonna face Roman, and like we didn't
Yeah.
want The Rock to win, so when Rock didn't win and Cody won, and we were like, oh my God, thank God they didn't mess it up. Cody's gonna, and then the next day and the next week follows, and we're like, oh my God, what are they doing? Oh no!
Yeah.
So it is like so funny thinking that even last year proved even if someone wins the Rumble, I'm not saying they won't get a title shot or whatever. That does not guarantee what they have planned will still happen. Now, I don't think there's going to be some movement, that was just like the We Want Cody movement or anything like that. But I'm just saying that plans can change, and we've seen it plenty of times before. Cena could win the Rumble, and it could be Cena Gunther, and then all of a sudden they're like, you know what? This kind of feels like a mistake. This needs to be a triple threat in some aspect, and
Yeah.
someone gets added in because they beat Cena or whatever. Like we've seen it plenty of times. And I think even though I have struggled with this in the past, I will say this and not take my own advice. With Triple H, we have to be patient and trust the directions and not to completely derail the Rumble talk. But I think that is a good segue for the next main topic on Raw, and that was the New Day 10-year anniversary, where so many people were worried we were just getting a straight up Xavier Woods turns on Kofi, or Big E comes back, ignites them with the power of positivity, and now they're happy again. Boy, this was not what people were expecting.
Yeah, I don't think anybody was expecting this. And, there's been a lot of, little things that the New Day's been hinting at. Now, I'm not a big anime guy. I don't know too much about Dragon Ball or Naruto or whatever their gear they were wearing last week is. But I was seeing online, Kofi was kind of the good guy. Woods was wearing the bad guy gear. They were really pushing the narrative that Woods is going to turn. Or Big E is going to come out and again lift them up with that power of positivity. But they didn't do that. Kofi and Woods went sour on Big E. I couldn't believe it. Goosebumps watching the live reaction, which we have posted here on C2 Wrestling. Go and check that out. My live reaction to the New Day 10-year anniversary segment. Seeing Big E, I want to start with that. Warms my heart, man. Warms my heart. Love that guy. Love Big E. It's great to see. We've been on record saying this already, I'm sure. Shame what happened to Big E. Terrible. Would love to see him back in the ring. Obviously, his overall health is more important than him physically wrestling. So I hope in life he's just okay. If he never wrestles again, as long as he's still walking. But man, it's a shame. It is a shame that he's not medically cleared, it seemed. They said, Big E said, I'm going to be here week in, week out, managing the New Day. That didn't really last too long with Kofi and Woods turning. But is Big E still going to be there week in, week out, trying to bring back the power of positivity to the New Day? Is that the now storyline? Woods and Kofi are heels. Big E is still floating around trying to reel them back in. Maybe that's the overall arc here. At some point, maybe at Mania 40, we get, or 41 rather, maybe at Mania 41 or SummerSlam, however deep they take this, maybe Kofi and Woods turn back face. Maybe they rejoin Big E. Maybe this is all a point. Big E is medically cleared. I don't want to go that far, but they have a lot of avenues they can go here. This brought so much life to the New Day.
See, when I watched it, I immediately thought it would be weird. You have all of this, and now look, I don't know Big E's medical situation.
Yeah,
I don't know
nobody
it at all.
does.
He could be, for all we know, that could have been officially writing him off for good, and that
Yes.
was, to get people to stop mentioning Big E with them. That it could be that. When I watched it, I immediately got the feeling maybe Big E does have a timetable to return,
Mm-hmm.
and when he comes back, he's wiping the floor with Woods and Kofi.
That is another alternative. I honestly like I ran through that idea in my head real quick. Like, man, maybe Big E does come back, but then Big E just crushes them. I'm trying not to like predict the unpredictable with a guy that pretty much had a career-ending injury come back. Edge coming back pre the Rumble would have never been on my bingo card ever because it was career-ending. So I'm trying not to like what could happen if Big E's going to wrestle again, but he seems to be involved again. I'm waiting to see next week if he shows up. I hope he does. I want that guy on TV. We've said in the past through the Big E injury, man, they got to put him on commentary even or something. He's such a great talent overall. He needs to be there.
My thinking is, again, I don't know his situation. He could be fully retired. It just feels weird if you were to have him come back, do that moment, gain all this sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Woods and Kofi got great heat, and they were getting booed.
Yeah.
But the guy that is gaining the most sympathy from this just disappears.
Yep.
That feels weird to me. That feels like it wouldn't be needed. Like, in my opinion, say Big E is done. Say Big E has no return.
Mm-hmm.
Big E's never wrestling again. they absolutely could have just did this to where Kofi realizes Woods is right. They absolutely could have had something happens in a match. They're facing Mysterio and Dragon Lee, two uber baby faces,
Yeah.
and
Uber baby
yeah,
faces.
and Mysterio kind of, maybe grabs the tights or something, gets a quick one by Kofi, and that opens his eyes. Wait a second, everything Woods is saying seems to be right. They could have easily done that if Big E was never coming back.
And that is very similar to what is going on the other show, SmackDown, with DIY, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Very similar storytelling in a way, but that Big E segment, adding Big E into the mix, the 10-year run of New Day, it adds so many layers. I do agree. Again, I'm not trying to predict what could happen with Big E wrestling because it seems like it may never happen in a way. But by doing the segment, the way they did it, what they talked about, it does make me question, man, maybe he does have a timetable. Maybe he's not medically cleared yet, but maybe he's closer than ever at least. And they're hoping for the best. They really did gain a lot of sympathy for Big E there. And why do that for a character if you're just going to have them not come
Be on a
back?
pre-show.
Yeah, exactly. Why do that if he's just going to be on panels? No one's going to really care. I do think that is the route that he's going to be in. Maybe not every week, but every other week, trying to bring back the power of positivity. What's up, Johnny Fairplay? What's up?
No, pulling out the wind horse fingers. Now, why is that? There feels like no bigger moment for Big E's return. Again, I don't know his timetable, but having him appear now, they gain that heat. They're going to get a few more weeks to months of gaining heat.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the timetable is perfect for Big E's return match being at WrestleMania.
Man, that gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. It really does, man. That would be
Again, I don't
incredible.
I don't want to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
my hopes up, and as
yeah.
we have stressed,
We don't
I
know.
hope Big E the best in his life
Yeah.
and his actual health. And if you haven't read his Players Tribune that he put out, please read it. It was a fantastic read, and you get to learn more about him, the person, and what he's been through. So could not sympathize more with him as a human and hope the absolute best for him. A guy that has brought us countless hours of entertainment. At the same time, I go back to they just got a boatload of sympathy for him and a boatload of heat on the New Day. And how do you pay that off? How do you have, at the end of the day, Wrestling 101, the bad guy wins 99 of 100 times, but the good guy wins on the 100th time, and that's the big moment.
Mm.
This is the start of it. It just feels like Big E is that good guy
I
to
agree.
come back and get his comeuppance with them.
Well, now, what's the bigger good guy moment for Big E and for wrestling? Is it Big E getting that comeuppance at Mania 41, wherever it happens, and him taking out Kofi and Woods? Or is the bigger good guy segment him bringing back the power of positivity to Kofi and Woods, recovering the New Day group, going face again? What's the avenue they go there? Maybe it's a little history overdone if they really just go face again, bring back the New Day. Maybe they need Big E to turn on them, whatever you want to call it, attack the New Day. But that could be the story arc here. It is Big E kind of recovering the New Day, getting them back in their good graces, the power positivity they once had.
It's definitely a possibility. And before we get to some other big moments of Raw,
Mm-hmm.
it did make me think about as well. It we mentioned before, so
Yeah.
many people are so over,
Mm-hmm.
but the spot where it doesn't feel like that, it feels like the tag team division is so heel heavy right now.
It is. On
Like
Raw specifically, too.
Raw specifically, that it's like with the New Day, the you know,
Uber
one of
babyface team.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, one of the longest reigning baby faces
Like
now
Cena
going
level
heel.
babyface,
Yeah,
permanent babyface level.
exactly.
Yeah.
I start looking at the Raw tag division. I'm like, what you have You have Mysterio and Dragon Lee and
The
the
War Raiders.
LWO. I guess the War Raiders are face.
Yeah, they're face because they're feuding with Judgment Day right now. So it makes that, they're feuding with them as faces, is the way I look at it. But then you got the Judgment
True.
Day as the
Yeah.
champions, heels, New Day heels,
Final
Imperium's
Testament
Final Testament
heels.
heels. Imperium's
Okay.
not really a tag team, but heels,
Yeah.
you know?
Wyatt Six technically faces, but not functioning enough as a tag team. They're
Yes.
a faction right now,
Yeah.
so I can't really count them. It feels kind of light in the face category. And then even to go to SmackDown at the same time,
Hmm.
DIY currently turning heel.
Yep.
The Street Profits have been acting heel, like
Yep.
they are baby faces, but
Heel
they treat
tendencies.
exactly they treat the Motor City Machine Guns, who are face, like heels.
Bloodline.
Theory and Waller
Theory and
heels,
Waller.
Bloodline heels,
Hmm.
Pretty Deadly heels. Like the tag division feels like it is missing that really strong babyface team. And maybe it's the Usos. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe them getting back together slowly but surely is the next, back to being a big babyface tag team. I don't really want to because they both have been very good in
Hmm.
singles slash factions. But
Agreed.
at the same time, this was like your home run babyface team turn. Great heel turn. I'm not complaining about them turning
Fantastic.
heel. I'm just looking ahead, like someone else maybe. I guess they are planning the War Raiders to be full blown baby faces, and that
Yeah.
kind of offsets it.
I mean, you never know. We can get a newly formed tag team too. Who knows what's really going to happen? Now, the New Day segment, I said it's arguably the Raw of the year. That's arguably the segment of the year. But now to segue into some other aspects of Raw, I'm going to use the New Day here. I'm going to ask you, who, who, who attacked Jey Uso?
We got our answer.
CM Punk, Seth Rollins in the ring,
No,
right? Who?
the very end of the show.
Did I not catch that? I caught the Sammy Seth. Did I not catch that? What am I missing?
Do you know what
Oh,
happened to end the
Drew.
show?
Drew came back. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah,
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, Drew
yeah,
came back. I'm like thinking crazy.
yeah,
Drew coming back. Who attacked Jey
yeah.
Uso? Drew McIntyre. What's the beef?
They they did, and I love that this has become WWE has become spiteful characters.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Owens hates Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton because they worked with Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins was pissed off at Jey Uso, at Sami Zayn, because they worked with CM Punk. And Drew McIntyre shares that same sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
He does not like, he is the ultimate, the friend of my enemy is now also my enemy.
Absolutely. Yep.
And those are names that, from we were going through a potential stacked rumble, I forgot to mention Drew, Sammy,
Mm-hmm.
Owens, those names. I love this. We figured Drew was coming back at some point, and
Yep.
I know he's been advertised for the Raw debut on Netflix. But again, this Raw was the perfect example of people who try to say that WWE is so predictable and Triple H is so predictable. People didn't see that New Day twist coming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you say. The
You
majority of
didn't
people
see it
didn't
coming.
see it.
You didn't see it coming.
There was no whispers about Drew coming back here, setting up a
Mm-hmm.
feud with Jay or Sammy or both. Even though he's feuded with those guys already, there was no whispers of that at all. I don't want to
At
hear
all.
it. This was a complete surprise, not expected into Raw, and on top of it, a damn good way to finish a great show from top to bottom.
Absolutely. There's two things I want to mention about the Drew return that I really love. One thing is very small, but it's the logic in wrestling. This is very brief, but Drew McIntyre coming out to the ring, jeans on, hood up, can't see who it is, hits a Claymore. Joe Tessitore immediately. It's Drew McIntyre. Use that logic. You don't got to wait for the guy to drop the hood. They're not treating the fans like we're dumb anymore. And that is, again, a small thing, but it really is great. It's great to see. The other thing with the Drew return is the intertwined storytelling. Sami Zayn opens the show, coming out with Rollins, a little feud with Rollins there, has a little bit of beef. Him and Jay have a little thing going on. Him and Roman, the bloodline's back. Punk's got some involvement. And now you're throwing Drew back into the mix too. I did not see it coming at all. There's so many storylines going on between all these wrestlers. We've referenced this in the past, but it's really like the roster on the 2K games when you have allies and rivals, you know? And these guys all have so much going on, but it all makes sense. None of it is throwaway. As you kind of had mentioned, Drew coming back, the friend of my enemy is my enemy, is such perfect storytelling for Drew. Why else would Drew attack Jay, Drew attack Sammy? He might not be feuding with Punk anymore, but I might as well feud with Punk's friends. Why not?
Yeah, this is you mentioned the with 2K the allies and
And rivals.
and rivals. I think of the meme of Charlie Day. I think it's from Always Sunny where
Mm-hmm.
there's the board and
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
there's one person and you've got the pinpoint one to another, then that pinpoints there.
yeah.
Like that's what it's a bunch of spider webs of all these things. Like this guy goes to him, but he goes to him and he goes to him
Mm-hmm.
and he goes there. Like that's what it feels like. And you mentioned that what your 2 points were logic,
Logic, intertwined storytelling.
intertwined stories, and then I will add the third point
Yeah,
is the long-term storytelling
with Drew
slash
Punk. Yeah.
long-term storytelling slash what's the word I'm looking for? Starts with a C, continuity.
Yes. Yep.
When you get the Punk Zayn promo and they're going after each other and they both mention, "Hey, you're not in the clear. You created this monster that you're complaining about. Rollins,
Yeah.
you're not in the clear either because you made it worse because you did the same exact thing I did, you hypocrite. You hit him in the back with a
Yep.
chair." That leads to the main event. That leads to Drew's return because Zayn was just teaming with CM Punk. And although Drew and Rollins do not get along, Drew and Rollins have a past. They finished. Drew beats Rollins for the title, and Rollins is crying, saying, "You deserve it." They have that mutual respect, but they also have that shared enemy. They both are
Mm-hmm.
very similar characters that they have the what am I seeing? What is everybody else seeing that I'm not seeing? Like this
Yeah.
guy, CM Punk, is the worst, and you guys love him, and these people work with him. Now I have to beat that sense into you. All these
So
things being intertwined is just chef's kiss.
it's great, and I think it's maybe only a week or two away before we get, Drew and Rollins teaming versus Jay and Sammy on Raw or something. The intertwined storytelling, the continuity, it's fantastic stuff. Not that I would have hated this because they would have put on a great match, but what if Drew showed up, returned, attacked Braun Breaker, got into a feud with Braun Breaker? Would have been great, maybe, sure, don't get me wrong, but there's more you can do. There's just a different avenue for Drew, and they're doing it, keeping him in line with the main title picture as well, in a way, in the main event. Drew, Kevin Owens, what's coming with Seth Rollins, three of the most natural, best heel turns the business has ever seen, in my opinion.
We spend a lot of time talking about, oh, like this seems great, but what's next? Like, what do you do after that? And
Mm.
sometimes we look at the roster and we mention it with like Braun Breaker. Feels like there's not that many people.
Yeah.
WWE is kind of similar to when you manage a baseball team. When you have four outfielders and there's only three positions, sometimes things just figure themselves out.
Yep.
One guy gets hurt, now you only got three outfielders. One guy's in a massive slump, now you're only using three out. Like these things kind of figure themselves out. Then you have guys like Drew, who WWE does a great job of getting you to just forget about him. They spend just enough amount of time. He's not gone for 6 months where
Yep.
everyone is like, where the hell is he at? And everyone's talking about his return. He's not gone for 2 weeks where we freshly remember him. It's that perfect timetable where he just starts to slip your mind. The guy that, CM Punk, when you see him, you're thinking of Drew, gets into such a big story that Now when I see Punk, I'm thinking about the Bloodline story, thinking about War Games, whatever. As soon as Drew slips my mind, he comes back and is immediately into one of the biggest stories. Now, a small story on a massive map of stories.
Absolutely.
This now leads into endless avenues for the Raw at Netflix, for the Rumble. You're talking about, the new bloodline kind of ruling the Rumble.
Hmm.
That could easily be the OGs kind of start getting the upper hand. Drew comes in and takes out the OGs because he's against them as well. He's not with the new bloodline, but he's against the OGs. Like, there's so many avenues now. Just adding McIntyre in, and these are feuds we've seen before, but they still feel fresh.
Absolutely. They do feel fresh. Now, does this Drew attack on Sammy, Drew attack on Jay, is it leading into a Drew Sammy match at Saturday night's main event? That card is already shaping up 3 title matches. They're going to put some stuff in between there too. I think more differently than even a PLE, this card rather, Saturday night's main event will be a 5-6 match card. Nothing crazy. Primetime TV and on Peacock, don't get me wrong. But it's not your typical Raw or SmackDown. I don't expect, promo battles on Saturday night's main event. It's more of a pay-per-view in a way, more of a PLE. So I think it's going to be booked like that. A 5-6 match card, not a whole lot going on between. So do you fit in a Drew Sammy match on there? Do you save it for the Raw debut on Netflix? Where does the Jay match happen? Does that happen? Where are they going with this? Drew attacking them all makes so much sense. But as you said, we always ask, what's next?
See, Saturday night's main event, probably perfect thing for us to finish this pod talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think there should be a little bit of expectations kind of tempered with it, mainly because I could see this being a 4, maximum 5 match card because they're on primetime TV. They have that hard out.
Yep.
There's no cushion for when you get on to those primetime slots. There's no, if we go 10, 15 minutes over, we go 10, 15 minutes over. The Netflix debut, if they want, they can make the first Raw 4 hours.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
could do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Now, do I think it's going to be a million matches? No, but I think there's going to be some big matches on that first Raw. I think we
Yeah.
get a world title match. Maybe we get the Drew Sammy or Drew Jay match, that whatever. You
Mm-hmm.
get Cena's return. There's plenty of stuff where you're like, they're not going to be as strict on the time limit. Saturday night's main event, you start looking at the matches, Cody versus Owens. That could
20
be
minutes
yeah,
minimum.
that
Yeah.
could be 20, 25 minutes
Yeah.
easily.
Balor
And
Gunther, minimum 15.
15 to 20 right there.
Yeah. EO Live, probably 15 as well, at
Probably
least.
15. Just there. That's an hour of content instantly.
Yeah.
That's without their entrances, that's without the promo
Absolutely.
packages, that's without getting on the show, the commercial breaks. Like, that is an hour worth of content right there.
Yeah.
If you add one more match, that is easily a 2-hour time slot.
Yeah,
Easily.
absolutely. I also kind of predict, especially with Balor being in a singles match and the Raw tag titles kind of off the table, I kind of think we might get the Guns, DIY, Profits, maybe 3-way at Saturday night's main event. That's an old school type wrestling show. Tag team wrestling runs through the veins of wrestling fans. You got to have a tag team title match on that card. So I kind of see that coming too. That's 4, not only matches, title matches on that show. Maybe you throw one non-title match in there, something. Who knows? 5, I think, is the limit. I don't think we see more than 5 matches on that card.
Completely agree. And also at that point, if you get the tag title match, perfect split. 2 title matches from Raw, 2 title matches from SmackDown. You have the world title, heavyweight title, a women's title, tag team title from
Mm-hmm.
different brands.
Oh, we also have the women's U.S. title is on the show.
Oh, yeah.
That the
So there you go.
finals is
There's
going to
your
be on the
5.
show. There we go. There's
Your
5. Yeah,
5.
completely forgot about that. Yeah, which
Yeah,
is
great
also
pick.
fantastic for the show. If you're ever going to debut a new title, you do it triumphantly. You do it at bringing back Saturday night's main event. That makes that show must see for the women's wrestling fans out there. Why not? You got 5 title matches on that show. 4 to 5. Show's full. What else do you do on it?
And it doesn't need anything else.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't. That's a stacked show.
Yeah.
I haven't seen, and again, I didn't watch Raw top to bottom. I just saw all the main segments. I know the Intercontinental Women's Tournament started.
Yes.
Did they announce when that finals is? Because
I didn't see
it feels like timeline wise, it would make sense
Raw.
for the January 6th Raw.
Yeah, that would make way more sense than any other day, in my opinion. So I think that adds up. I forget the exact bracket off the top of my head. I know Dakota Kai won. There's a few people in there. Raquel won. Moving on. Not
So
as stacked as the women's
yeah,
U.S. tournament, in my
I
opinion.
know. I know Kyrie Sane is in one of the triple threats that hasn't happened yet. So they've
Yeah.
already had. I don't think Raquel won a triple threat, right? Raquel won a tag match.
Oh, you're right. It was a tag match. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
tag match. What am I thinking? Raquel's in the bracket though. Yeah,
she's
which
in the next match.
I think maybe wins it. To be honest, out of all the people in it, maybe they are giving Dakota Kai a push here. I think the perfect person to win the Intercontinental title, who I would have wanted to win it, would have been Io Sky, but she's in a different feud going on right now. So it is what it is. That's okay. I don't know where they're going with that IC title though. The women's US title seems to have a little bit more direction.
So looking at the calendar, actually,
Mm-hmm.
there's 4 weeks until
With three more
no, you have
and then
four,
five matches left.
five, yeah, 5 matches for 4 weeks.
You
So
can
I
make
mean,
that happen.
you could easily double up. Like I could
Yeah,
see the next 3 weeks being the next three triple threats,
yeah,
and then that final Raw of December having both the semifinal matches
yes, yeah. I
because
could
they're
definitely see
one
that
on one
happening.
matches, and then the
Yep.
finals being the next week. Now that is just completely assuming, but it feels like if you're gonna have the U.S. title on Saturday night's main event, you're not gonna have the Raw IC title be on the third Netflix show
Yeah,
of Raw.
or like, why do it at the Rumble when you could do it at the Mega Raw debut? It just
Yeah.
makes no sense any other way. But January 6th Raw.
Yeah. So I think timeline wise, it does kind of fit into things, but it just adds to what we were talking about before.
Yeah.
All these stack shows
Hmm.
and stacking a pay per view that's going to be on national television, but only having 5 quality matches. We talk about it all the time. That leaves Raw and SmackDown for all of these other matches that still need time. Easily, easily. Drew
Yeah.
McIntyre versus Sami Zayn could be on Saturday night's main event,
Hmm.
but it could also be 20 to 25 minutes on a Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely could be. All these matches on Saturday night's main event are going to get time. You know, there are 15-minute matches minimum. We're not getting any 5-minute like throwaway match in there. Not that I see. Or yeah, again, like I guess I can't say no to them doing not a whole lot going on with Waller right now, but maybe there's a Waller effect or something, you know, some sort of segment in between a match or two. But again, I don't think they really stack the show much more than they already have. They also are saving for Monday Night Raw. You know, that's probably exactly why the women's title's on that show, US title, so they can do the IC on Raw January 6th. They got so much coming, man. This Owens Cody feud is just beginning in a way, too. Like, who knows where they're going after Saturday night's main event? Are we going to get something big on Saturday night's main event? Is Owens going to win? Who knows what happens? Who knows?
The beauty of it is you get to see our live reactions to it right here on this channel.
Absolutely.
Right here on YouTube, we will be live reacting to Saturday night's main event. Has me even more excited to do a live reaction to the Royal Rumble. Cannot wait.
That's a
That
big
is
one.
going
That's a big
that
one.
is that is one where I'm gonna have the popcorn while we're live. We're gonna probably eat a little mukbang as we're going.
Yeah.
That's a big one. But first, in first order, Saturday night's main event in 2 Saturdays, the
Yep.
14th. You got to be here. You got to subscribe. You got to turn on notifications. We just want to chat wrestling. I want to hear
Mhm.
what the people think about not just Saturday night's main event, but this Raw being a top Raw, the future Raws, the January 6th Raw, you name it. Get down in the comments. Let us know. Maybe you think the absolute opposite on everything we just said. Beauty of wrestling, everyone gets an opinion on it.
Absolutely. And we want to hear them again. Let us know those opinions down below. We want to talk shop with you guys. Been another great podcast. We got a lot more coming.
And get down in the comments also. Give me your prediction. What will be Snowden's next ailment that he has to battle through in his next podcast? Will he have a jammed finger?
Maybe,
Will his
maybe.
ankle act up again? Will he have an
Mhm.
upset stomach?
Man, who knows?
There's
Hurt
so
my
many
wrist.
possibilities. Yeah.
Anything could happen. You never know. I'm a walking medical anomaly. Who knows?
So tune in, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys next time.